Pistons fans, welcome back to yet another episode of the Buffs On podcast. Still coming at you strong despite the Pistons season being over. I'm here today. We've got Connie, we've got Gabe, and Mike is back as well. Today we're going to be tackling down our NBA playoff predictions. We're going to go through series by series. We're all going to pick our winners. Want your engagement with us, guys. Let us know who you think is going to win the championship this year, or if you see any upsets coming. Second half of the show, we're going to be going into our awards for the season: MVP, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and so on. We're going to do that for the entire NBA, and a little segment just for the Pistons. We're going to give out all those awards just for this Pistons roster. How's everybody doing today, guys? Ready? Watching a lot of playoff basketball?
Yeah, it's all I've really been doing the past 2 days. Just
Same.
Feel a little bad for my PlayStation. It's turned off twice automatically because it just hasn't turned off all day. It's been on YouTube TV. But let's get into it, guys. We saw a few games already, so we're not going to take those into account into our predictions that we already made weeks prior to this. But let's start in the Eastern Conference. The Milwaukee Bucks, the first seeded Bucks, are taking on the Heat, who just about scraped into the play-in tournament. What do you guys think about this series? Do you see any games coming off of Milwaukee? What do you guys think? Connie?
Well, as we speak, the Bucks are down 9 to the Heat. Start of the second quarter. I definitely see Miami being able to take 1 or 2 games off of the Bucks. I don't think they're going to win that series because at some point it's just a talent gap. But I think that's a 5 or a 6 gamer right there. They have the personnel and like the mentality and the defensive type to be Giannis botherers, not stoppers, but botherers. But at the end of the day, it's a talent thing. It's a shooter thing. Their offense kind of sucks like half of the time, and those games the Bucks are going to win. And some of the games where the Heat's offense is good, the Bucks are going to win. So I think a pretty short series, but a fun one, competitive.
So you're saying Heat and Bucks in 5?
Yeah, let me say Bucks in 5.
Bucks in 5. I like that you said they have Giannis. People could maybe slow him down. Obviously not stop him because they do have a good roster for that. I'll go into my prediction for this one. I don't think the Heat have a single chance. They barely got into the play-in. They barely got through the play-in. They did not impress me whatsoever during the play-in. I think this, despite as a time of recording, they have an early 9-point lead, but I think Milwaukee sweeps this one. I don't see any way that Miami can keep up in terms of scoring the ball. They have an all right defense, but I think Milwaukee just too deep. I think they're just going to go on cruise control and take down the Heat. Mike, who you got in this series?
I think Miami's going to get just 1 game. I think they're going to win like game 3. They're going to win a game in Miami. Jimmy Buckets, man, when he comes in the playoffs, man, he's going to perform. He's going to get 1 game out of them, but I'll tell you what, man, his roster blows, man. It sucks. Their offense sucks, man. I don't even know how they're in the I thought the Bulls honestly had a chance to beat him in the play-in, but I think with just Jimmy Butler performing in the playoffs, I think they're just going to get 1 game out of it.
Fair enough. Yeah. You're the same what as Connie. Gabe, are you the same?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Bucks. I think Bucks are known to drop early games. You remember a few years ago, it was against Orlando. They dropped that game 1 when they went on to win the title that year. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Miami wins this game. They play hard sometimes, and Hero can get hot. Strus can get hot as he shoots a 3 and makes it. And they got really hot last game, but anyway, Bucks in 5.
Yeah, not too much going to be going on here in these 1 through 8 matchups. But the winner of that 1-8 series plays the winner of the 4-5 series, which is the Cavs and the Knicks. And at the time of recording, we've already seen one of these games. I picked the Knicks in 7, but I really want to hear from you guys. I think this is a very open series. I think the Knicks are kind of a slept-on team for me. Gabe, you went last, so we'll pick up right with you. How do you see this series going?
I think the Knicks will win. I agree with you there. I think Knicks win in 6. Cleveland's good, but as we saw, game 1, they don't grab rebounds, especially defensive ones. And the Knicks are just made to bully. That's really like all Tom Thibodeau wants them to do is play hard. And if the Cavs can't match that, even though I think Mobley had a great year, obviously Mitchell's probably NBA first team, but Brunson's really good. Randall looks like a new player, and yeah, they're they're going to out hustle them, I think.
Is there a debate as to who the best player in this series is?
I think it's Jalen Brunson.
Really? Because I was almost joking around, but then I thought about Julius Randle being the best player in the series. At the same time, I see Donovan Mitchell drop 38 or whatever he dropped.
Stop it, man. Stop it, man. Donovan Mitchell's by far the best player in the series. You got to stop that, bro. Come on, bro. Stop that.
I don't know.
No, there's no discussion.
Brunson would have dropped 40 if he didn't pick up those 3 early fouls, I think.
That's so foolish.
Hey, Mike.
We'll see.
Let's swing it over to you then. Your series prediction?
Well, I got the Knicks winning, obviously, but I thought before this series I had Cleveland, but congratulations on the Knicks, man. They finally got a little bit some culture in there, man, with Brunson coming in, Josh Hart. You can see the pieces coming together. Randall's, obviously I think Randall's, in my opinion, the second best player in the series, but with Randall coming back game 1, that was so huge for them, and then taking advantage of it in game 1. That's a huge momentum shift. I got him in game, man, I would say in game 7. It's gonna be tight, but that Randall game, the fact that Randall came back, that's so huge for them, and I think fans should be really excited for this team because I think they're gonna win a playoff series.
Yeah, right on. So all 3 of us take the Knicks before we go to Connie. Connie, who do you have, and who's the best player in the series? Because we didn't hear your voice on that.
I said the Cavs before. I'll stick with the Cavs. I think there were definitely some adjustments that they can make for the next game, like to shift it up. Like Gabe said, they got killed with the Knicks' offensive rebounding. They have some big guys down there. I think with the shift of focus, shift of intention, a little more focus towards boxing out and actually securing those defensive rebounds. They have the personnel. I think that they could do that. What was the other thing? The thing I didn't realize would be as impactful as it was is that 5th spot for the Cavs, and honestly they're shooting all around. Really, other than Donovan Mitchell, they weren't great at 3-point shooting. Mobley missed a lot of shots, a lot of dinkers and dumpers that he wasn't plopping down. Jared Allen looked a little nervous, like he was bobbling some balls that I don't usually see. He usually has pretty good hands, but he's kind of throwing that stuff around. That is all to say. I think the Cavs could definitely still win this if they hit a couple more shots. They had some ugly misses. We're shooting terribly. I think that they have the personnel that they could switch that up. But I'm really interested to see what they do with that 5th spot, that small forward. They should have traded for Bojan or Bogey. Imagine this with that 40% shooter out there. But best player in the series. Yeah, I gotta go JB, Jalen Brunson. He's just
crazy, man.
He's a playoff player, man. He can consistently and every time get the shots that he wants that are high percentage shots. Like when it comes down to it and you're going possession for possession, if I know that Jalen Brunson's going down there and he's gonna get he's gonna get off a clean fadeaway midi or a nice mid-range jump shot off the dribble, off of the snake in the screen or something, he is just super reliable and super shifty and kind of, he doesn't look like the traditional guy that is, but he's kind of unguardable one-on-one. But the other point guard, he's scoring every time.
No, I completely agree with you. And we saw that a prime example towards crunch time where he's just putting his guy to sleep and knocking down that mid-range jumper. His game, or I would say Killian Hayes' game, needs to be ideally like him, in terms of the efficiency and the way you can get to that mid-range and then get to the rack on that left hand. I see some similarities there, but
I know
best player in the series is
Jalen Brunson has outstanding footwork and outstanding handle. Can kick you a number of different shots from either direction. Really, the only comparison is that they shoot mid-range jumpers
and they're left-handed.
I need to say something, man. Say Ivy, say Ivy's nah, I don't want to be here no more. And Brunson and Donovan Mitchell both say like, "Hey, I both want to come to
take
Detroit."
Donovan Mitchell. I would take Donovan Mitchell. But what you're asking is who's a better player and who's like the best player in like the way that the playoffs work and in this specific series,
So we're just judging it off one game.
I'm judging off this series.
So just one game.
And what I can think forwards in this series, yeah.
All right. Well, I can't wait for the next podcast. By the time Donovan Mitchell will probably drop a 55 piece. So.
Hey man,
but continue.
I bet JB gets 25 every game.
Ooh, yeah. Perfect analogy.
Fair enough.
We'll see.
Moving on to the next first round series in the Eastern Conference. We already saw one of these games. Philadelphia took down Brooklyn in game 1. We'll start with Mike this time.
Come
Mike,
on, man.
Any upsets in this series?
No, man. Let's save the fans some time here, man. Come on. Let's save the fans. They don't want to be talking. They don't want to have a discussion about this crap, man. Let's go.
Make the pick.
4-4. Philly and 4.
Then
it's a sweep.
Yeah, get the brooms out.
Come on.
I gave Brooklyn one game in this matchup. No real reason why. I just think Philly has the capability of losing games every now and then. They shot lights out in their first game, which has not been a common theme for them throughout the regular season. I don't really anticipate, guys like Gorgeous Niang and people like that consistently making that many threes. But nevertheless, I do think it'll be a comfortable win for Philadelphia. And then we'll move on to our final Eastern Conference first round matchup. Again, maybe not the most interesting one based off of the evidence we saw from game 1. That's the Boston Celtics and the Hawks. I'll start with this one. I've got a clean sweep. I don't think the Hawks come within 10 points at
Come on, man.
Get the brooms out.
Come on, man. We don't know. Come on, man.
If you had to bet on any of these series being a sweep, like your whole life was on it, which of these 3 would you pick?
It'd be the Celtics Hawks.
Celtics Hawks, man.
They just have the perfect personnel to just like dismantle this Hawks team. Like they have outstanding guard defenders.
Trae Young sucks, man.
And then they can just they can really find guys to switch hunt against with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. John Collins is a weak point. Trae Young is a weak point. And if you have 2 weak points on defense against this Celtics team, you're losing. Even just Murray, who's a good defender. Like if Tatum switched on a Murray, I'm taking Tatum.
Even with Celtic killer Sadiq Bey on the Celtics, on the Hawks, excuse me, you don't see a game coming on.
Come on, man.
No, I'm just
move on, man. It's time to move on.
Do you guys want to move on into the next round of the Eastern Conference, or should we save that for another time and head off into the West first round?
Let's go into the West because we all have different thoughts on.
Yeah, right on. Well, we'll start again, probably in a similar way. The Denver Nuggets, Minnesota Timberwolves. How many games does it take in Denver for you guys?
It's going 6 for me.
Gabe says 6. Connie, how many you have?
Give me 5 for Denver. There's going to be one game where they pop up, but I think Denver. I'm of the opinion that Denver's been sandbagging a little bit for the past month of the season once they locked up first place. We're going to see like a reinvigorated Denver team, like Jokic.
I so agree, man.
Like pedal to the metal. Like playoff Jokic is a real thing, and he's a monster. And I think they're just gonna like Rudy Gobert. Come on, man. He's gonna get clowned.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, we'll just slide into our next one. A pretty interesting first round matchup. Paul George is all but confirmed now to miss the entire first round of this series. The Kevin Durant-led Phoenix Suns versus the Los Angeles Clippers. Mike, why don't you get us going on this one?
Well, I'm gonna get the discussion rolling because I'm gonna have a little hot take at the end of this, man. This is the biggest hot take of this podcast, I'd say. I think Phoenix is gonna sweep them, and I think it's gonna be the end of LA.
It's funny you say that. And my bracket prediction as well. I actually have a clean sweep for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be done, man. I think that team's gonna be completely different next year.
I could see the Clippers going in a completely different direction should they get swept or gentlemen sweep in any case.
Not working out, man.
The Clippers haven't impressed me all season. Since they acquired Ruff, they haven't been much better. Obviously, Paul George is out. You can't even rely on Kawhi Leonard's health. And when those guys have played together, they still don't win that many basketball games. And Phoenix's record with Kevin Durant is just really good. Hard not to be when you have Kevin Durant, first 55, 40, 90 player, arguably the best scorer of all time, teamed up with Devin Booker, one of the best scorers this game's seen. Chris
Paul low-key kind of balling out lately.
He's there to make plays and facilitate the offense. That's all he needs to do. But obviously then Gabe, Connie, you guys have a bit of a closer series. Gabe, how do you see this one going?
I see a world where the Clippers win a few games and make this a series. They can really shoot. And I think X Factor, Robert Covington, if he can get in Durant's face. I know that sounds weird, but man,
when have you heard X Factor, Robert Covington?
This guy gets hot, and he's like a big 4-3 kind of wing. I mean, there's a reason he doesn't play, but I think this is like the perfect opportunity for him to attempt to slow KD. But yeah, it's mainly because I'm a Devin Booker hater. I don't think he can carry a team very far. Or else I would go Clippers, but they have Durant now, so they're gonna win the series eventually.
All right, Connie.
Since nobody said it, I'll say it. Let me Clippers in 7, man.
Oh
Jesus.
The Suns are still gelling together. They were 8-0, but against some pretty weak competition down the end of the regular season. And like Gabe said, the Clippers have a lot of shooting. They have a lot of variance. They have a lot of guys who can really get hot and put some buckets in. But most of all, they have Kawhi Leonard. And you said he's not a safe bet with health, and I'm like, sure, that's fine, maybe. But since the All-Star break, Kawhi is 27 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists. We're talking about just like he is classic Kawhi. Right back to where he was, what he was doing. He's 47% from 3. 54% from the field. Like you have this guy. You have this guy on the team. He has potential to be the best player in the series. So this would be a lot nicer of a pick if Paul George was still around, because then I would actually maybe believe in the pick that I'm making right now. But I could see this being a Kawhi Leonard legacy series, and the Suns just not quite being all the way together. No, I do think that the Suns could also, go all the way, win this whole thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Mixed bag of results is definitely possible. So two people on the opposite ends of the spectrum here. Mike and I going Suns sweeps, and Gabe and Connie thinking a more competitive series.
Yeah. A little goofy, but
we've got 2 first-round series left in the West here, and these are 2 of my personal favorite series. We'll start with the Kings and the Warriors. The Warriors lose a nail-biter to the Kings in Game 1. Kings, their first playoff win, now officially puts the Pistons in the spot with the longest playoff drought without a win. Not the place you want to be if you're the Pistons, but hopefully we can have some sort of turnaround like that. I'm not fazed by that opening game. I still think Golden State is going to come out on top in this series, although I could see it go Sacramento's way, and I wouldn't be upset about that. I think Fox is a really, really unique talent who could take over games at times. Malik Monk, man, Connie, you were saying how the Lakers fumble him, how the Hornets fumble him, how did everyone fumble him? He's been great all season. They picked that up. But I went ultimately with Warriors in 6 games for this series. Again, I do think this one could go either way, but I think the Warriors' plethora of experience eventually will just take them over the top. And then obviously having Steph Curry in your team will help. Do you guys see this going a different way? Mike, what do you have?
Well, before the playoffs started, I had the Warriors in 7. I watched that game last night, man. Andrew Wiggins sucks, and it shows. Man, deep down in my soul, I'm gonna keep my prediction on the Warriors. I'm not confident in it. I hope it's a good series though. But man, Andrew Wiggins, being out for so long, he was the second best player in the championship squad, and his shooting wasn't too good. But I mean, if he gets his shooting back, I think they can easily win it towards the end, game 6 or 7. But the Kings will definitely win another game or 2. No question about it.
Yeah, I know Wiggins didn't shoot the ball all too well, but he still managed to have a pretty significant impact, I thought. We end
He
up with
played good
17
defense. He
points.
played good defense.
17 points, which is a
Yeah, I
season
thought you could see
average,
his
and four
hustle on the
blocks.
offensive end too. I like for Wiggins not being there for so long. I really like the way he played. It seemed like he stayed ready. Like Mike was right, he didn't hit the jumpers, but offense was not the issue with the Warriors last night. They had 123 points, and that's why I'm taking the Kings in 7 because like the Warriors they're not gonna stop the Warriors. The Warriors are gonna pour it on. But the thing is, the Kings are gonna be able to stick with like anybody because they're gonna pour it on the other side. Like you're not stopping this. Like tonight, they had 126 points. Malik Monk went crazy. Of course, Fox went crazy, but Herter and Murray, Ofer from the 3-point line. You think you're seeing that again? Um, I think there's just so many guys on that team that can keep this offense afloat that they're really going to score no matter what. And it's just down to the Warriors to outscore them every time, which I don't think is going to happen. And I'm riding the beam, riding the hype train. Yeah, Kings in 7.
I could very much see it. And you talk about the high scoring of these teams. These two teams they combined averaged 240 points. So either way, it's going to be a fun series, and we saw that in game 1. Let's swing it to you, Gabe. Kings Warriors. Who do you have?
Before the series started, I had Warriors in the sweep. I just thought like Clay Thompson is playing so well right now. Curry's Curry, and I don't know. The Kings were. I don't think you can win with a bad defense in the playoffs, but I don't know. I still think Warriors win this series. They don't look as good as I thought, honestly. I'll go Warriors in 6.
Warriors in 6. Same with me. One thing that surprised me with Golden State is their turnover numbers. They average 16 per game, which is dead last in the NBA. I don't know why. I just assumed the Pistons were in that, but that's definitely going to slow them down, especially against a fast team like the Sacramento Kings. So we have one series left, and
Oh, real
again,
quick on the
yeah,
Kings. Like we were all watching that, just like being absolutely blown away by De'Aaron Fox beating guys with the speed, beating guys with the handle, hitting those like pull up middies where he's getting off the screens. Is that a guy that we think is that a possible a ceiling for can Jaden Ivey become De'Aaron Fox?
I really like that. Especially because what Fox provides the defensive end. And on top of that, he was a very good 3-point threat in that game. I've never even thought of comparing those two guys, but I must say, if that's what happens, I can't be upset at by any means. There's definitely some similarities with just the speed and athleticism.
Ivy's much bigger though.
Yeah,
like you can be an upgraded version, dare I say.
I love
Bucks
it
and breaking news on the podcast. Giannis is out for the rest of the game.
Wow.
Yeah, he took a hard tumble onto his back, low back, pelvis area.
Well, that's no good. But we'll move on to the next series, which also has a potential wild card injury involved. It's the Grizzlies and the Lakers, who, as the time recording, played earlier today. Austin Reeves takes over the fourth quarter in that game to give the Lakers a 1-0 lead. And on top of that, Ja Morant is now doubtful for game 2. His future is in jeopardy for this short playoff run. Prior to this game, I had Grizzlies in 6. I'm not going to change my prediction just because of that. But obviously, if Ja Morant is out, huge X factor for them on a team that's already missing 2 of their significant role players from the big man spot. If Ja Morant is out, I don't know if the Grizzlies really stand a chance, as good as they are without him, as good as Tyus Jones is leading that team. But the Lakers played well, but I'm going to say Grizzlies in 6. I'll stick to my prediction. Obviously a lot of factors in this one, but Connie, who do you have in the Lakers and the Grizzlies?
Before we started, I said it was going to be Lakers in 6. I'm going to stick with that. AD was just dominant. You can really tell that the Grizzlies are missing 2 centers. He was really like whenever he was out there, it was just like he is working. What I did not expect was freaking combined like 60 points from Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves. If the Lakers role players are showing up to play, it's obvious all the stars are showing up to play. So I don't know, easy claps. Even with John Morant, I think that the Lakers like too big, too good at drawing fouls, which is a weakness of like Jaren Jackson Jr., their best defender. So I think the Lakers' experience and honestly just skill. This is a good roster. Lakers in 6.
Mike?
Man, I said it couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago on this pod. I see that path to the Western Conference Finals for these Lakers, man. Everything's coming together as long as they stay healthy. And these bench role players are showing up with Rory and Austin Reeves. Dude, LeBron looked like he was like the third or fourth best player on that team, man. That's how like productive this team looked today. They were feeding Anthony Davis on the ISO ball, and he looked good. Yeah, I see the Lakers winning, and man, I had them winning in Game 6, but I mean, if John Morant's out for Game 2 and 3, I mean, you could see maybe Memphis winning one game, but you could tell they were lacking on size. They were feeding Davis the ball left and right, but it should be the Lakers show on this series, man.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think LeBron was in chill mode this game. Like you could kind of tell.
He was chilling beyond the arc.
Excuse me. Yeah, like you could tell as soon as LeBron and Davis play together, it's just over for Memphis. As I said before the series, I think Ja's the third best player in the series. Could he be the fourth best?
Well,
Because Jaren Jackson Jr. is really, really good, but he's just not as good as Davis. I think I agree with Mike. I could see Lakers out of the West. Like LeBron and AD are just insanely good. Speaking of Reeves, oh yeah, so I go Lakers in 5. I had Lakers in 6 before, but Ja's wrist looked like it really hurt. Do you think we should throw some money at Austin Reeves? Saw this from a guy on Reddit. Why not?
I
Um,
talked to
Lakers
Bally
pay?
about that.
I mean, we're already at such like we have a glut of guards that we're trying to play.
I mean, him, Cade, Ivy together.
I'm
Great
open
spot.
to it. But the only thing is, I don't really understand Austin Reeves' deal. I recall him kind of snubbing us a few years ago when he decided to go undrafted. Who knows if there's I don't know, some bad blood with him and Weaver there. I'm all for it. I think he can fit along with any guard, or any number of guards, because we see him play with Schroeder and LeBron is. I mean, with the amount of time the ball's in his hands, he's pretty much a guard as well. So I think the fit would be perfectly fine. Obviously a significant upgrade on our other guards like Killian Hayes, and then time maybe Alec Burks will be phased out of the lineup. I would love that. Austin Reeves is a really good player in all facets of the game, and he's learning from the absolute best. So I'm open for it. All right. Well, that was the Buffs on Pod's first round predictions from me, Connie, Gabe, and Mike. Let us know what you guys think from this first round. If you see any upsets coming, and we want to know, just curious, who do you think is the best player in the series between the Cavs and the Knicks? It's going to be a really good one. But we're moving on to our second half of the show now, where we're going through our end of season NBA awards. One of the most exciting times of the season, at least for us now. We're going to be going through the most valuable player, defensive player of the year, the sixth man of the year, the coach of the year, the most improved player, and then we're going to do the reverse, all for the Detroit Pistons as well. But starting off with the entire NBA, we'll work up to MVP. We'll go from the bottom up. We'll start with the most improved player. We saw the candidate lists, the finalists. We know to take that into account for our picks here. Let's start with Mike. Who's your most improved player for this season?
Well, the most proven player, man. There's a couple players I like, but I think, oh, dude, it's
Got to
who
be
I would vote.
McKinnon.
It's who I would vote for I would vote for Shea. taking, that's who I would vote for. Guys averaging like 30 points a game for OKC, without even Chet Holmgren, and thought it was going to be another rebuild and one game shy of the playoffs. I thought was really impressive, but I think that guy's got to be the most improved player.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm not gonna hassle you on picking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Gabe, you mentioned Lauri Markkanen. Is that your clear pick?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Shea was amazing last year. OKC just shut him down.
Shai was 24, 5, and 6 last year.
Yeah. But yeah, Lowry, we didn't know if he was a player on the Bulls. And then he was like a small, but just like a 3-point wing on the Cavs. Now, yeah, he's just a really good offensive player. I think if they had a Marcus Smart type guard behind him, they could make a really good team actually. Utah, I like their future.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard not to pick Lauri Markkanen in the situation. Connie, do you have anybody different?
No, I'm going with Lowry as well. What he showed he could do with the ball in his hands, upping his volume so significantly, changing the type of shots he gets from being created by others to mostly being created by himself, and then still hitting those at the same efficiency numbers. That some of those crazy, there were some nutty shots in the clutch. He's got great highlights, all the jams, and if they didn't, tear apart their team with trades halfway through the year, they'd be in the playoffs right now, and he'd be still doing his thing. We'd be seeing it in the first round. So I think this is the big pivotal changing point in his career, I think, and easy most improvers.
Yeah, again, hard to disagree with you. I did agree with you guys. I went with Lauri Markkanen. I was trying to make a case for Mikal Bridges just because I respect the leap he's taken, and then obviously what he provides in the defensive end. Again, I did pick Markkanen, but playing in 83 games, the 27 games he did play with Brooklyn, he averaged 26 points a game. I just noted some similarities between that leap that Jeremy Grant took when he joined the Pistons as to Mikal Bridges did the same thing, except 2.0 for me, with everything he provides from deep and how efficient he is from outside the arc. But three of us saying Lauri Markkanen, and Mike, you're taking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for the most improved?
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of Lauri at second, man. I was debating between him and Brunson.
All
right, then we can head on to the next round. Then Markkanen is the majority favorite here from the Buffs on pod. The Coach of the Year, always an interesting award, and an award that I feel is unjust to some people always. But for me, there's been a clear favorite for Coach of the Year this year, and that for me has been Mike Brown and the Sacramento Kings, completely rejuvenating that program and just turning it upside down. Those fans are filled with life and joy. Again, they're playing really hard, and what I love so much about him is he's a great player coach. Like the relationship he has with his players, that's something I hope whoever Troy Weaver hires to take over from Dwayne Casey, I hope they have those characteristics of being really good with the players. And then obviously the massive turnaround to get Kings. They get the Kings back in the playoffs and obviously not winning a game, potentially doing more. It was a no-brainer to pick Mike Brown for me. Gabe, who do you got for Coach of the Year?
Taylor Jenkins, with Ja being out. Memphis still the number 2 seed in the West. I just think he's done a fantastic job through all the injuries they've had. And they're still a great team, even with not always the superior roster. I think they just make the right decisions, and it's largely on him. They've been great. I don't know when he was hired there, but they've been great for a while now.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. You mentioned the injuries and then also just a lot of off the court stuff going on in Memphis this year, and still they come out as the second seed. Very good pick. As I look him up as to see how long he's coached in Memphis, I'm shocked to find out he's only 38 years old. Looks a lot older than that. But he's been in Memphis since 2019, so a couple of years now going for him. Mike, Coach of the Year.
Mike Brown, man. He's by far the favorite. He's the clear favorite. So
Mike picks Mike Brown. All right. Connie, Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I gotta go Mike Brown too. Love the personalities brought to that Kings team. They're overperforming. They love to play for him. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. All the reasons you really need. Let's move on to our sixth man of the year. This one a little bit more open. We've seen all the three finalists for all of these positions, but we'll start here with Mike. Who is your sixth man of the year for the 2023 NBA season?
Man, I'll give it to Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah,
Malcolm Brogdon. I was debating between Quickly, just because like I actually kind of like the Knicks culture right now. I liked how after the trade deadline they found themselves, and Quickly and Brunson and Josh Hart all contributed that really well. But it's got to be Brogdon, man. He makes the bench complete with that Boston team. He's a huge part of the reason why I'm a little bit more confident in them winning the championship than last year, because they're more complete. But we'll find out later in the playoff run when it comes down to Milwaukee and Boston. Clearly,
yeah. I mean that's a very good pick. Out of the finalists, that was my selection as well. Malcolm Brogdon, the Prez. He's been excellent since going over to Boston, along with Derek White, who's been crazy this season. Connie, your sixth man of the year?
Yeah, gotta agree. Malcolm Brogdon. He's a starting NBA caliber point guard. Like skill wise, he could start for almost every team. But he plays for the Boston bench, which is fantastic. He's easy sixth man. I know there's some like Quickly buzz, but I don't know. I don't see it the same way.
Gabe, do you have Malcolm Brogdon as well for your
I do. Yeah.
Sorry,
I just think there's not really much competition. I was surprised Terrence Mann wasn't a finalist.
Terrence Mann.
No, not Terrence Mann. What's the guy in the Clippers' name?
Norman Powell.
Norman Powell, yeah.
Bobby Portis is one of the finalists.
Fair enough. I was gonna say Bobby Portis' name, but like realistically, I don't see this going to anybody but Malcolm Brogdon. And I feel the same about this next award we can discuss. The rookie of the year. As much as we love Jaden Ivey, who are you guys' picks for the rookie of the year? Let's start with you.
Yeah, I wanted to say Ivy, but I think it's been Banchero from day one. He shot what, like 1 for 30 in February from three. He's slowed down, but just like the way he started, he's like the number one offensive option, so his percentages are down. That's what happened with Cade last year. I still think he's a long run not going to be the best, maybe not even top 3 in this draft class, because he doesn't play defense and he's inefficient. But this season it has to be him, I think.
Was Walker Kessler your consideration, Gabe? I know you love Walker Kessler.
He's my number 3, probably behind. No, he's my number 2. I'll say him, Kessler, Ivy. I mean, Banchero, Kessler, and Ivy.
Wow, no Jalen Williams.
No, right, number 4. Yeah.
I went with Banchero as well, though I'm higher on him than Gabe is. There was some reporting that he had like a nerve issue in his shoulder in the month of February. When he worked that out, like you can see the stats, his like shooting percentage goes like right back up the next month in March. He is the number one offensive guy on that Magic team. That Magic team, since starting with really bad, ended the season like 27-25. Like they were a good team. They were tough to play. I also disagree with Gabe, where I think this man has like the sky is the limit for him. Just offensively, the way he balances getting his own shot and like working within his team. He's just like a really poised and mature player at like such a young age, and he's got like there's so much room to grow with him as well. And I think that combination of size, skill, and IQ doesn't come around very often. So yeah.
Fair enough. Fairly agree with you. Mike, do you go a different way?
Absolutely. I don't. I kind of like Jalen Williams going rookie of the year. I know Paolo's gonna win it, but I really like Jalen Williams on both sides of the floor. I don't know. I feel like Paolo. You guys are gonna disagree with me, but Dude, the Magic sucked, and I mean, him being the number one option, but I think he had too many poopy shots. Like, it was poopy time, Like, they're not like they weren't competing at all throughout the year.
They were.
They were quite competitive.
They were competitive. Like the second, Mike, they ended the season 20 above 500. Like, you go for the last 50 games, they were above 500. They were out there.
I mean, even so, they weren't like this season was about like development for them. Put the ball in his hand as many reps as possible.
Thanks.
Yeah, he made mistakes, but like so did Ivy, and that's how you become better.
I think rookie of the year, Paolo will win rookie of the year, but I think long term, I think Jalen Williams could be potentially a better, fit for a huge playoff run team based off what he can do on both sides of the court.
Yeah, fair enough. And we heard Gabe's brief little list, but I just wondering where you guys put Ivy in your rookie ladder.
4th.
I had him at 4 as well.
4.
Okay.
I know. Ivy led all rookies in points created.
Is that points plus assists, I assume?
That's points plus like the points scored off of your assists. Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot, maybe he is higher than 4, but in the meantime, let's move on to our penultimate award before we go to the big one, the most valuable player. Let's go to the defensive player of the year. Again, 3 options here, all bigs this year. Marcus Smart did not make his return, or no guard made their return. Jaren Jackson Jr. was a candidate for finalists. That's who I picked. Jaren Jackson Jr. is just an immense shot blocker. I honestly, as I was picking out one of these, I could have made a case for every single one of them. Brook Lopez, obviously, this late in his career, having such an impactful year protecting the rim. The Bucks are really good. Mobley in the same boat in that big leap. But I went Jaren Jackson Jr. It was kind of a take-your pick for me, but I like how the Grizzlies have stayed afloat despite, Morant missing so many games and so many guys missing games. And he's been there playing the 4 or the 5, protecting the rim, blocks the ball with his left hand really, really well. Just like he finishes really well with his left hand, although he's right-handed, which I really like. Jaren Jackson Jr. for me. Who do you guys got, Connie?
I got Brook Lopez. He was just there every time, every game, doing his thing, doing the same exact thing every time, which was, he contested the most total shots. I don't think he's the best defender, but he's the best defender for the whole season, like putting those hours in every single game. Also, Tyler Hero just came out. He broke his hand.
Oh,
no
really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Hate to see it for him. Wow. Defensive player of the year though, Gabe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Brook Lopez as well. JJJ, he's really good, but he didn't play a lot of games. That's not really his fault, but it's just injury. Mm-hmm. And also the games he does play in, he's often in foul trouble. Brook Lopez is never in foul trouble. He's just a mountain under the rim. Just his size, his screen navigation as like a drop, basically a drop artist. Like, he's just really hard to score on. So I'd give him the edge, and him, Triple J, probably like the clear cut 1-2. Everyone else, I think, is behind the field.
Mobley.
Yeah, he's too soft. I think he doesn't grab rebounds.
I do like that point you brought up though of Jackson getting into foul trouble a lot. I might have to change my final prediction to Brook Lopez for that matter. I didn't really take that into consideration, but that is an important part of defending is being on the court and not fouling. Mike, do you have an outside shout, or are you rolling with Brook Lopez?
Brook Lopez. He I think his IQ is more higher up than Jaren Jackson, not Jared. Whoa, no, Brook Lopez. He is a more consistent player throughout the whole year. I think you got to pick Brook Lopez.
Yeah, fair enough. And now we've gone through all these little awards, and we left the last one up. I expect some discussion here. We had our 3 finalists for the most valuable player. But there's gonna be a few guys into consideration here. We've got the Jokic, Embiid, Giannis. So many guys honestly could be in this conversation. Well, let's debate. I wanna hear what you guys have for the MVP. Let's get right back to you, Mike, because I know you probably have something to say on this. Who's your most
well,
player
the
this season?
MVP trophy sucks. It sucks every year. I'm not a fan of it. One year it's all about points. One year it's all about like the regular season only, or like where they placed in the standings. I don't get it. I don't get how they determine that. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, Giannis is the MVP. But I don't even know why he's not even top 2 anymore, because he's better than Joel Embiid and Jokic at the end of the day. But I mean, if I had my MVP is Giannis. He's the best player in the league. But what I think who's going to be the MVP, when it comes on paper, I think they're just going to pick Embiid.
Fair enough. Well, I could easily get that. Connie, your MVP for this season.
This year's most valuable player, regular season most valuable player is Joel Embiid. He came out most every night, was a dominant force on both ends of the court. And important to me is that he obviously got better. He's been able to move from like the low post to the mid post, and that's made him so much more viable as a player, because it's so much easier to get him the ball now, and he's still like just as effective. He is, I say it 100, he's like the 7-foot Kobe Bryant with the shit that he does. Giannis, I wouldn't give it to, because he's only played 63 games. He missed some time. He's obviously still amazing, but this season wasn't as good as his MVP seasons. I think like the story of the season is just a little more told by Embiid. And then, like I said earlier, the Nuggets sandbagged the last month of the year pretty much, and that was a big part of Jokic. I think Jokic had it for a lot of this season, but like they really took their foot off the gas, and Embiid kept it down. So this is a Joel Embiid MVP.
I'm gonna hop in here before I slide over to Gabe, just because I do want to say something different. I actually did pick Jokic for this award. Embiid has been great to close out the season, and rightfully so. The narrative has shifted Embiid's way. But when you look at the numbers, 24.5 points per game, almost 12 boards, and 9.8 assists, all while shooting over 63% from the field, it's just disgusting to me. And just watching him play, he seems like the most impactful player on the court every time. It's his third year in a row leading win shares. Will it be his third year in a row winning the MVP? It's very possible. I just think the narrative has shifted so much into Embiid's way, which again, I understand that Jokic is just being a little bit overlooked in this situation. And for that reason, I did go with Jokic, because every bit of the advanced statistics and everything it's still there for Nikola. But Gabe, who do you got for the league MVP this year?
Yeah, I think Jokic is the best player in the league. I think Embiid will win MVP, but I think Giannis as well for me. He is who I'd want on my team the most. So I would pick Giannis. Connor, you mentioned he only played 63 games. How many did Embiid play? Do you know? Or Jokic for that matter?
Embiid got to, hold on.
Probably not a whole lot more.
Jokic played in 69 games this season.
Yeah. So for me, like, that doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Embiid was 66.
Yeah. So like that's pretty much like a zero factor for me. And like Embiid, I think will win it just because Jokic just kind of said he doesn't want it over and over again. So he kind of led his own narrative for that. Giannis has been, I don't know, he's just kind of been behind the curtain this year between these two bigs. So I don't think he will win, even though I agree with Mike. Like if I had like a playoffs, I would want him on my team. He's not like the most gifted, but he has that Kobe Bryant. Like I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win, and I think that's in the end what often means MVP for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you guys. If you're still listening at this point, we just got one more mini segment to go. Let us know who you think is your candidates for all these awards. We want to hear from you guys. We really do. But we're going to flip it and do this in just in the terms of the Detroit Pistons. So we'll pick out our MVP, Depoy, Sixth Man of the Year, and our most improved. And how about we start with Sixth Man, because probably the least glamorous award out of these imaginary awards that would be given out for the Pistons. A no-brainer for me, Alec Burks. Yes, he was in the lineup for some games. Yes, he didn't play probably about 30 games just because, we needed to lose more. But when the closest we were to full strength was with Alec Burks coming off the bench and instantly providing 40+% three-point shooting and just his veteran presence, able to fill in at both guard spots. Sixth man of the year is Alec Burks for me. You guys have anybody different?
I have Hami. He's probably like stats wise, scoring wise, not as important as Burks, but just like our bench was often like do nothing, ISO ball, shoot. Hami kind of created chaos that we really needed to run. He played really well this year. I hope we keep him around for next season. He's an energy guy off the bench, and he can become a perfect I don't even think he'll be a sixth man, but he's just like you put him in and he does exactly what he needs to do.
Right in, yeah. Like he doesn't exactly fit that prototype build of a sixth man, but he comes in, he gives you that energy. And you mentioned retaining him. He did read to this what you will. He did list up his Bloomfield Hills mansion with his free agency pending in the summer. Connie, your sixth man of the year for the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, I'll go with Alec Burks as well, just because this sixth man of the year is usually who scores the most off, which guard scores the most off the bench, and that's AB. I love the energy that Hami brings, but just to keep the offense afloat type of guy, I think Alec Burks is the sixth man.
Yeah, right on. Mike, anyone else?
Oh man, who do I pick? I like Alex Burks. I don't know why Gabe picked Diallo, but I would pick Alan Burks. I like what he did shoot pretty well off the bench, so I'll give him the edge on that.
Right on. Let's move into our most improved players of the year. Let's start with Connie, your most improved player for the Pistons.
Most improved player. Kind of a tough thought here. I'll go with Hami for this award, I guess. Cut off a lot of the bad. Like it's tough because we have a lot of guys that are first year Pistons players, and the guys that were multi-year Pistons players kind of sucked this year. But I'll go Hami. He changed his game a little bit. He cut off the fat. He stopped taking jumpers. Became just like an energy cut guy, defensive player. Sure, Hami off default.
Fair enough. Let's move over to Gabe. Who's your most improved?
I think by default for me it's Isaiah Stewart. We kind of forgot about him because he didn't play the last fourth of the season.
Forgot about Stewart.
Yeah, but can I say Jaden Ivey? Compare his first 3 months to his last 3 months. That's a different basketball player. He just learns so quick. That's really all I have.
I really like that idea. Just a little thinking outside of the box. I completely agree with you. The steps that Ivy has taken as the season has progressed has certainly caught my eye. I second what you said about Isaiah Stewart, though. I think if you are officially picking an award for the Pistons here, he seems like the no-brainer guy with the way his three-point shot developed, the way his ability to put the ball on the floor developed, and playmaking skills. But let's hear from you, Mike. Sorry to put you last again. I'll get you first in the next one. Do you have anybody else?
No, I like Isaiah Stewart being the most improved. I see him putting an effort on his jump shot. He's taking more threes, smart threes, by the way. I don't think it's foolish threes. But no, I like Stewart, even though, I don't know how many, we're not playing any rules here on how many games you need to participate to win this award here. But I like Stewart winning most improved player of the year.
Yeah. Let's keep it with you then. Let's hear about your defensive player of the year on this roster, because looking at it, there honestly were quite a few options for me.
Oh, Jalen Duren, man. Come on now.
Why do you say Jalen Duren? Just the rim protection he gives?
Yeah, man. Dude, he's a dog, man. I'll even fast forward a little bit. You can even skip me on the next one, man. He's my MVP.
All right, checking off some boxes there. Fair
Come on.
enough. I mean, why do you say MVP though? Because there are obvious candidates of MVP above Jalen Duren. Why?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, dude, he's my favorite Piston. Come on now, man. Jalen Duren is going to be this future. He's going to be by far. He's going to be the big. He could potentially be the big three. He has the potential to be big three on the Pistons. But if we're going with no, I'll talk to it when we get to the MVP. I'll talk to it. But for defensive player of the year, dude, I don't want to start anything, but I'll give it to Killian Hayes.
Wow. Okay. You know what? Let me hop into my pick for defensive player of the year because coincidentally, it was also Killian Hayes.
Who knew?
He was 9th in total steals in the NBA, 9th out of all of those players, above guys like Herb Jones, Caruso, reigning defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart, Mikal Bridges, who played 83 games this year, who was supposed to be one of the best defenders in the NBA. Killian Hayes had more steals than him, only 20-something away from having the most steals in the league, tossing half a block a game from the point guard position. Just his abilities, just to at times control people. He still seems to get beat on the drive too much, which is something I can pick from his, something I can, complain about a little bit, but he just gets hated on so much, man. I really wanted to reward him for his defensive prowess. Mike, I can't believe you're there with me.
Man, can I tell you something? I think, honestly, the only reason why we're doing this award show was because you were going to pick Killian Hayes for the defensive player of the year. I think that was honestly probably your most excited part of this whole podcast when that was coming up. You look so passionate. You sounded so passionate about that. You had all the stats ready to go. I'm so proud of you, man.
Thank you, man. I'm
and I agree with you.
I'll even more steals than this guy.
Yeah.
Connie, Gabe, I know you guys are probably not in the same boat as Mike and I. Gabe, who is your defensive player of the year?
Again, I'm gonna go with Stewart. I think he's a smart defender. He's a good defender. He's overmatched sometimes at the 5, but that's why we have Duren now. I think he's like the leader of our defense. Sets the tone. He hits people. He makes people annoyed. That's really good qualities to have to bring that Detroit grit and grind. So he still has, and he can switch, which is good. He still gets beat occasionally on guards, but compare him to every other starting big in the league, he's, I'd say, top 5%, top 10% of switchability. He can move. I'm excited to see next year with a real big next to him all season how that looks.
Yeah, I kind of did want to pick Isaiah Stewart, but just because I wanted to give Killian Hayes an award, like Mike said, I went with Killian. Connor, are you gonna tie the vote here, or are you going somewhere else?
I'll go with nobody. This team sucked at defense and does not deserve a defensive player.
Love the optimism from Connie.
You know what? I changed my vote.
Optimism. We could be a good defensive team next year. If we work on it and we we're coming together. But dude, we were watching this team throughout a lot of this year, and they'd be just open 3-point shooters every single time, collapses, missed communications. I just nobody deserves a decoy.
I can understand the reasoning there. It hasn't been the greatest defensive season or season as a whole. Well, hopefully you can pick a most valuable player because that is our last and final thing we're going to be discussing on today's pod. It's been a long one. Let's go over to you, Gabe, for your Detroit Pistons most valuable player this year.
I think this is the easiest one of the whole bunch. It's Bogdanovic. He's a bucket, career highs, career best season. Everyone else on our team kind of sucks. He's just a really good player. And Connie said earlier that Cavs made a mistake not trading for him. I think Memphis really did too. He would have been perfect on that team. He's just he's a great starter on pretty much every team in this league, and he just happens to be on our team.
Yeah, I mean, I won't need to add anything else here. I'm just going to second everything Gabe said.
There's no second place, really.
Connie?
I agree.
Well, he was playing so well, we had to sit him down to lose more games. Really easily, like our best and most consistent player throughout the season, which is not saying much, but yeah, Bogdanovich, pretty easily. He showed a lot this year. Kind of.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe a better debate topic was who's your runner-up for MVP. But Mike, do you really want to pick Jalen Duren as your MVP, or are you joining the Bogdanovich way?
Well, I'm gonna pick Bogdan, but like if we're gonna play a full year MVP award, I'm going Jalen Duren, man.
Fair enough. I mean, this guy is the limit.
If we're doing a full season MVP with minimum amount of games requirement for this award, I would pick Jalen Duren.
Did he play more than Bogey?
Yeah, I was just about to
Did
ask
he?
the question.
For a while there.
Connie, who are you looking up?
Both of them.
Okay, I'll see if I can get one for you.
Yeah, right.
Well, real quick while he's looking that up, has anyone's final contestants changed for the NBA playoffs?
I'm still going with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns.
Bogdanovich played 59. Jalen Duren played 67 games.
Okay.
So there's a diff there, but yeah.
Well, all right, Buffs on fans, thank you again for listening this far. We want to hear what you guys say. We love interacting with you guys on social media. It really means a lot to us. We plan on dropping this podcast soon, and hopefully by the next podcast, we'll learn a little bit more about our head coach, possibly, because Weaver did say he wants to hire somebody for the lottery odds, or before the draft happens, I should say.
When did he say that?
That was on a James Edwards article. James Edwards quoted him. James Edwards was quoted saying, Weaver does not want a guy who wants to wait till after the draft lottery results. He wants to get somebody in prior to that.
Oh, nice.
And we saw a few guys come in for interviews. That should be a continuing theme as the weeks go on, as the summer goes on. We're going to see guys coming in with interviews, and hopefully we'll have some more Pistons content to talk with you guys. But for now, Buffs on fans, we want you to watch more playoff basketball, envision what it's going to be like when we're there, how fun it's going to be. So throw the Buffs on.
One more year.
One more year. Throw the Buffs on Detroit. The future is bright.